Hi, and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 757B, and today's date is September 3rd, 2015, and the title of this episode is FAA warns military exercises will create unreliable airspace outages over Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida. Now, before I get started, I want to make an announcement. The interview with Rob Kirby has been uploaded to the X22 Report Spotlight YouTube channel, so you can go right over to YouTube, type in X22 Report Spotlight, should bring you right to that video. Or you can come to the x22report.com site. You will see the video on the right hand side. Let's get right into the economic collapse geopolitical news. Now, we understand at this point that the U.S. government central bankers, their goal is to dumb down Americans. And they've done this throughout history since the Department of Education, and it's been accelerating since that point, since the 70s. And we see that with the introduction of No Kid Left Behind and the introduction of Common Core, that they're really pushing this agenda. And if you want to know more about Common Core, you can go to the X22 Report Spotlight channel. I had an interview with Dr. Duke Pesta, and he pretty much lays out what Common Core is and where our educational system is going. But from a report that was just released, the dumbification of America is accelerating at this point as SAT scores hit record lows. Students in high school class of 2015 turned in the lowest critical reading score on the SAT college entrance exam in more than 40 years, with all three sections declining from the previous year. Now, as the government continually steps in and tries to help the educational system, and they're continually telling us that this is better for our children, what they're actually doing is the opposite. They're dumbing down America. Why do you think we continually lose our rankings after they initiate these new programs? It doesn't get better. It just gets worse as time goes on. The founding fathers wanted the communities to create and to teach the youth of America. Because why? Parents, the communities are very closely knit together here, and they know what their children need. They know what they want to give them, and their best interest is their top priority. The U.S. government central banker top priority is not the best interest of your child in getting a good education. It's far from it. And we can see and we know that they think of us as sheeple. They think of us as workers. They think of us as someone who shouldn't have rights, someone who shouldn't think. And something very disturbing coming out of West Point. A West Point professor is calling for military strikes on journalists critical of war on terror. Wait, what is he saying here? He's saying that those people, those professionals critical of the war on terror, constitute a treasonous opposition that should be subject to military force. I mean, has he heard of the First Amendment? I mean, what in the world is going on? Well, we know what's going on. We know they don't want people talking about what's really going on. They don't want you to have the rights, the freedom to speak out against a government. And that is the right of every single person here. He believes the U.S. should have the right to attack people who are critical of the military, specifically professionals, legal scholars, journalists, and other people, effectively spreading ideas that oppose war. Oh, you mean I oppose killing of other people. That's a bad thing. I mean, have you seen the people that come back from war? Do you know people that have come back from war? I do. It's not pretty. Professor William C. Bradford went as far to publish a long academic paper in the National Security Law Journal that aggressively promotes suppressing dissent. You can see the mindset of where we're headed here. Martin Armstrong, he is warning everyone right now that the number one terrorist group in America, it's you, the domestic citizen. Joe Quinn says the following: you are the enemy of the state. They don't care about you. They treat you as sheep and cows to be sheared and milked. If you start questioning them, they will slaughter you. They have militarized the police forces and put you under 24-hour surveillance because they fear an uprising. There are only a few 100,000 of them, and there are millions of us. A conflict is looming. And when the government talks about the Islamic terrorists, their number one fear is really not them, it's you. And if you look at the threat of extremist groups by type of group, sovereign citizens in 2013-2014 is ranked the highest, 3.2. Those internment camps, they're not for the Islamic extremists. The camps are for us. The government claims it wants to eliminate guns to protect the society. We know that's not true. We know if you're a criminal or if you're a terrorist, are you really going to the store to purchase that gun? No, you're not. What they're doing is they're slowly disarming the people. This is why we see 2,000 plus laws infringing on the Second Amendment. And we know right now they are looking in and spying on all of us. I mean, the FBI right now, as we know, spied on Occupy Wall Street. They had a list. If things didn't go well, they were going to take people out. The FBI admitted to spying on the Burning Man Festival. From the recent documents obtained by the Freedom of Information Act, that since 2010, the FBI has been keeping tabs on the festival. They've been maintaining documents. They've been spying on the people. And you know what they found? Absolutely nothing. Yeah, they might have found a couple drug things here or there, but there have been no terrorist operations. There's been nothing. They've been using their surveillance equipment and spying on the people. They're doing this to everyone, and this is why everyone has to protect themselves. You need to use encryption any way possible with your email system. You can use StartPage, startpage.com. You can go there. It will hide your searches. You can use products like Blocket Pocket, which is a little sleeve that's intertwined with copper, silver. You can slip your credit card in there. Most of them have RFID chips now. The new licenses are going to have RFID chips on there. You can block the signal. You can use it for your phone to block the signal. So there are ways of stopping this, and everyone should be doing it at this point. There is no reason for the government to spy or to track us or to listen to us. We have the rights, and if we don't use them, the government feels you lost them. So we have to show them, no, we're enforcing our rights, and we have to keep pushing. Now, we understand right now that the UN launches a blueprint for the New World Order, and the Pope is going to help with this. This is the 2030 agenda. This is coming out of the Economic Collapse blog. And basically, the UN is planning to launch a new universal agenda for humanity in September 2015. The entire planet is going to be committed to work towards 17 sustainable development goals and 169 specific sustainable development targets. They're going to transform the world for a better place for them, I mean for the people. And when you go down the list, they keep using things like promote sustainable agriculture. The first thing that comes to my head is GMO and a company controlling our agriculture. Make cities and human settlements inclusive, safe, resilient, and sustainable. Take away all weapons. Pile people into small housing. Keep them controlled in certain areas. Take urgent action to combat climate change and its impact. Tax everyone and make them feel guilty that humans are causing global warming, when we know this is completely untrue. It's the sun that controls the climate. Humans are a very small, tiny, little piece of it. But they're using this to control us. They're using it to tax us. And we have to say to ourselves, what does sustainable development really mean? How does the UN plan to ensure that it will achieve this globally? Patrick Wood, an economist and author, says it's clear the UN and its supporters see sustainable development as more than just the way to a cleaner environment. They see it as the vehicle for creating a long-sought new international economic order, or the New World Order. And you know, this is what they've been trying to push all along. Complete control of everyone under one government to make it easier for them, and to herd the people and to control the people. And they're meeting this September to put their plan in action. Now, out in Ukraine, we understand they have the Minsk II ceasefire agreement. Not doing so well with this agreement. No one's agreeing to it. But we understand the U.S. and Kiev says, we are all for the Minsk II ceasefire, and we're supporting it. Well, if they're really supporting it, why does the U.S. have U.S. soldiers in Ukraine? Because this violates Article 10 of the Minsk Agreement. So they're saying they support it, but they're violating the Minsk ceasefire agreement. So we know at this point they don't care about the agreement. Ukraine right now is saying that they foiled a bombing of a Kiev apartment block. And they know who was about to do it. They know the 4 members they detained. They are from the southeastern area, and Russia was going to make them do it. They were going to blow up this apartment block. So what we see right now is Poroshenko is out there. He needs to get the war started. The U.S. government central bankers are getting very angry with him that he hasn't pushed the war. And Poroshenko is trying to maneuver his way into creating a false flag event to say this is why we need to go to war. Because already we saw the riots. We saw that grenade that was thrown into the crowd, which injured policemen. 3 of them died. And already he's out there blaming Russia. They're the ones who threw the live grenade. Now, of course, he has no proof whatsoever, but you could see what they're doing. They're pushing the false flag event to get this war started. Now, why in the world would the southeastern people and Russia protest while they're voting to have the Donbass region be separate and apart from Ukraine? It makes no sense. Why would they do it when they're continually pushing the Minsk II ceasefire agreement? They're the ones who created it, Russia. Why would they go ahead and do this to start the war once again? Something doesn't sound right. And this is how we know it's a false flag. Now, because of everything that's been going on, NATO on Thursday is now setting up a military center in Lithuania capital. It was just inaugurated. And the NATO Force Integration Unit is one of 6 small headquarters. And the other ones that are going to be opened up this month are in Bulgaria, Estonia, Latvia, Poland, and Romania. All the military assets, all the military soldiers, all being placed in strategic locations. The U.S. has also announced that they're going to be bringing in ships into the Black Sea, and they're going to keep ships in the Black Sea. U.S. Navy Commander James Farrow announced that the U.S. plans to maintain a constant presence in the Black Sea. Now, the United States is not a state actor, and what they have to do is they have to go into the Black Sea. They can keep the ship there for 21 days under the Montreux Convention, and then they have to remove the ship. So they're going to continually rotate the ships, but there will always be a ship in the Black Sea. Very interesting. We also get a new report by the Henry Jackson Society. It was published on Tuesday and focused on how Britain should respond to the perceived Russian threat, how they should do this. The report comes to a number of key conclusions about frictions between Russia and the West. And what is their answer to this? Well, the UK and US military should garrison Europe, Eastern Europe, to deter Russia. Isn't this what they're doing right now? And the report goes on saying the worst case scenario from all this is war starts, it gets out of hand, and becomes nuclear. So this think tank is pushing for war. They're telling them this is what you need to do to push Russian aggression back, to deter it. And you know it's not going to deter it. You know it's going to provoke it. It's going to have the opposite effect, because as NATO, the US, UK get prepared and continually surround, contain Russia with military assets and soldiers, what is Russia going to do? They're going to prepare. And we see it happening right now. It's going to get a lot worse, not better. We understand that China has closed the stock market for 2 days. They're celebrating the World War II victory. They're having a parade. They're showing off all their advanced weapons. The 99A main battle tanks, the 05A amphibious vehicles, the DF-11B Dongfeng short-range ballistic missile, and mobile launchers. There's about 12,000 troops, 1,000 foreign soldiers and officers taking part. 49 countries are there. Putin is there. He's the honored guest. Other countries are Egypt, Belarus, South Korea, Czech Republic, South Africa. I don't know if the U.S. is actually there. I didn't see that listed. We see the report now that China has 5 Navy ships off the Alaska coast. Now, they're in international waters. They can sail anywhere they want. But what's very interesting is nobody makes any mention that the U.S. is in the Pacific sailing, flying drones near China. But as soon as China is in international waters near Alaska, everyone is saying, oh my God, what's going on here? Now, the reason they're doing this is to show that they can sail their warships anywhere. And we see Russia and China are showing, listen, this is not Yemen, Iraq. We do have a navy. We do have advanced weapons. Think about what you're doing. And if we compare China and the U.S. right now, and we look at their armed forces, we see that China has about 2.3 million forces, and the U.S. has about 1.4 million. Artillery pieces, China has about 13,000, U.S. 7,000. Battle tanks, 6,500, U.S. 2,700. Submarines, China has 70, U.S. has 73. Combat aircraft, China has 2,500, U.S. has 3,600. Destroyers, China has 17, the U.S. has 62. So they're equal with the United States, pretty much. And if their forces are combined with Russia, it's a complete disaster for the United States and the coalition forces. Right now, we're seeing in the Middle East and in Europe the worst refugee crisis since World War II. I mentioned this yesterday. And now the report comes out saying, yeah, there is a record number of 107,000 migrants crossing the EU border in July. Because this is World War. We haven't had the Big Bang But as soon as it happens, they're going to say, yes, we are in a world war. The New York Times is out there claiming that the U.S. abides by cluster bomb treaty. And we know that the U.S. creates and produces the cluster bomb. They sell it, and they've used it. I mean, 117 countries have joined the treaty not to use cluster bombs. The U.S. has not. They're saying, yes, we're abiding by it. But in December of 2009, just weeks after Obama was awarded the Nobel Peace Prize, guess what? They used cluster bombs in Yemen. Saudi Arabia right now is using cluster bombs in Yemen. And we can see at this point in time, they will do whatever they have to install a puppet government. Chemical weapons, cluster bombs, they don't care. They just hide it from the American people. We see right now John Kerry is saying, listen, the Middle East powers are going to send troops to help defeat the Islamic State in Syria. He expected that when the time was right, troops will be on the ground heading into Syria. Yeah, they're getting ready and preparing for this. And there will be ground troops going into Syria, US, UK, and other countries. Iran backs Assad. They're saying that he will play a pivotal role in the Syrian solution. Russia is saying, listen, back off Assad right now. Reconsider your stance against Syria. But we know the United States is not going to do this. We find out that the Islamic State is actually manufacturing their chemical weapons. This is coming from the Russian Foreign Ministry. And they're saying that they're using them and they're manufacturing these weapons. Wow, the proxy army of the United States government, Israel, and the coalition forces are manufacturing chemical weapons and using them. Well, we kind of know who's using chemical weapons in Syria, don't we? And we know at this point they didn't get them from Assad. That whole story was just flushed down the toilet. We see Walmart is going to open up those 5 stores in early November. Remember they were closed down? We have Jade Helm going on right now. And we're going to have to watch this situation very closely because we know Jade Helm is going to, I think, September 15th. Some people say it's a little bit longer, but right now I think that is the date. And we know this stock market is going to come crumbling down. Now, we get some strange information coming out, and every time we see any type of militarized drill, our spidey sense should be tingling. And we're seeing that the ADS-B, the Automatic Dependent Surveillance Broadcast System, is going to be unreliable during this period of September 1st to October 1st. And the ADS-B is a surveillance technology in which an aircraft determines its position via satellite navigation, and it periodically broadcasts, enabling it to be tracked. We're also understanding that the TCAS, TCAS, the Traffic Collision Avoidance System or Traffic Alert Collision Avoidance System, will also be unreliable during this period. So what is going on here? Well, the FAA warned that the airspace over Virginia, North and South Carolina, Georgia, and Florida might become unreliable from September 1st to October 1st. Why? Because there's a drill going on, and they received a late notice from the Department of Defense of military exercises. And the NBAA voiced its concern to the FAA that these sort of significant impact tests need much more notice to operators in the national airspace system. And they're saying that these systems, these outages, will extend up to 200 nautical miles offshore. And we should be thinking to ourselves, this could be a perfect time for a false flag to happen in this area. If they're unreliable, they can't track what's coming in, this is a perfect opportunity for a plane to enter the airspace, No one will know what's going on because we have the drill going on at the same time, and something could occur. This is why you need to be ready. Because we know they're planning something. They're getting ready. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.